This is a 2024 Honda Passport Black Edition. I know, it's not black. A new trim for the updated Honda Passport, a SUV that's been with us since the 2019 model year. The Black Edition replaces the Passport Elite as the top trim offered. The other two trims are the base EX-L and mid-level Trail Sport. And for 2024, the Trail Sport trim is what saw the biggest changes. It has all new all-terrain tires and a different suspension tune. If you want to learn more about the 2024 Passport Trail Sport, I did do a separate video on that. I'll have a link in the description, and it should also pop up right there. But largely, the Honda Passport remains what it has always been since the 2019 model year. And that makes it the last old school Honda SUV you can buy. What do I mean by that? Well, the HR-V, CR-V, and Pilot all got new generations recently and were highly modernized in the process. Not to mention the Prologue, Honda's first North American battery electric SUV. So, by comparison, the Honda Passport is a throwback to, let's say, a slightly simpler time. I still have a mechanical foot brake, for example. There's still actual analog gauges as part of the instrument cluster, as another example. And the general feeling of this SUV isn't quite like the others. The question is old school a good thing or a bad thing? Let's talk about it. I review all kinds of cars and I have fun every time. Please subscribe and join me. The base price for a 2024 Honda Passport EX-L is $43,295. Jumping into this Black Edition adds a little bit more than $6,000 to the price, starting at $49,365. And my test car does have that optional not black paint, and it costs $455. So grand total for this particular Passport is $49,820. Okay, with that, now is a good time for me to pull over and show you around and inside this car in a bit more detail. Looking at the car from the front, you can see right away that we've got a black grille, but I did mention several black accents for the Black Edition, so why don't I go ahead and show you those right now. Black grille, dark headlight trim, black side trim, black window trim, black fog light accents, and of course, Passport and Black Edition all-wheel drive are in black. We do also have this Black Edition logo right up front as well. This is an updated Passport for the 2022 model year in general in terms of what came forward of the A-pillars. So that look is largely the same since the 2022 model year. And it, is a good solid look. It has a nice, strong, straight appearance. You get to the front of the car and whoop, goes straight down. And the hood itself has this interesting cut into it right here and a nice bulge in the center. But despite all of that, I'm still much more curious to see what's underneath it. And there you have it, a 3.5 liter V6 transversely mounted or side to side like that. It is covered by this big fat black plastic Honda shroud right here. And windshield washer fluid is real easy to see, really easy to get to right here. Oh, and it was full too. Looking at the car in profile, you get a better look of the Radiant Red Metallic 2 paint, which is a $455 optional color. The only standard color for the Black Edition is indeed black, and it is actually called Crystal Black Pearl. There are 4 colors offered in total. So the other 2 colors are also a $455 option, and they are Platinum White Pearl and Sonic Gray Pearl. I will go ahead and put the dimensions up on the screen so you can check those out and let you know that I have a lot more information in the description. 20-inch wheels do come standard on the Passport now, but not these black 20-inch wheels. These are for the Black Edition. Looking at the car from the back, pretty straightforward design here, and I can tell you right now, it's also quite spacious inside. And once it opens, it reveals 41 cubic feet of storage behind the second row. And it is a nice wide amount of storage right there. Couple pushes of a button and the second row folds nice and flat for you and reveals 78 cubic feet of storage, and I think plenty of room for my bike, but let's find out. Oh yeah, it's a bit of a high loading floor, but all the width you have, and you have a decent amount of height as well, that makes it super easy to get a bike in there. Because this is a bigger two-row SUV, I do have plenty of leg room, and I have a good 2 or 3 inches of knee room, and the seat bottoms are reasonably high, so I have decent thigh support. So add that up, I definitely have less than a 90-degree bend in my knees. I have heated rear seats. I also have 2 USB Type-C ports and an AC outlet right here. I also have manual sunshades. Pretty typical stuff on the door we have right here. We also have 2-position seat memory. We also have the fuel door and a tailgate release right here. We do actually have several controls to the left of the steering wheel, including our side view mirror adjustment right here, our Econ driving mode, and some other stuff down here. We do have a manual park brake right here. And we do also, of course, have power seats, including lumbar adjust right here. Even the top trim Honda Passport still has some real gauges as part of the instrument cluster, fuel level, and coolant temperature right over there. But you do have a screen in the center. The steering wheel itself is a reasonably thick rim and has several controls on it, a lot of media stuff to the left, and cruise control options to the right. Push button starts right here. There is the instrument cluster lit up. And right next to it is your 8-inch center console touchscreen, which, let's be honest, is a bit small these days. Does come standard with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but it is a wired system. Beneath that, we do have the first 2 zones of our 3-zone climate control system. And while heated seats are standard on all Passports, because this is a black edition, I get heated and ventilated seats for both front passengers and a heated steering wheel too. And it does come standard with a wireless smartphone charger. We have this moonroof, which is also standard. The controls are right here, but this privacy panel is manually operated, which is lovely. Because this is a black edition, we do get a premium sound system, and we do also have acoustic privacy glass. It's standard to have acoustic glass for the windshield, but the black edition is the only trim that gets the acoustic glass for the front side doors as well. And yes, we do have drive modes. You select them right here. You get normal, snow, mud, and sand drive modes. But you also get the Econ mode right here, which can be used in all those different drive modes. And you do also have a sport mode, sort of, because you have D or S on your Prindle right here, so you can have sport shifting if you put it in S. I will put it in S when it is time for an acceleration test and keep it in normal otherwise, because I do not intend to see any snow or mud or sand. And if you'd like to get an even closer look at the outside and inside of this 2024 Honda Passport, I did do a separate video on that. I'll have a link to that in the description, and it should also pop up in the right corner right there. All right, let's get back to the drive. All right, let's dig into the powertrain. Where does 280 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque come from? Well, this gets into some of that old school bit I was talking about again. It comes from a single overhead cam 3.5 liter V6. It is the one and only engine that Honda has ever offered on the Passport since the 2019 debut. And this basic engine has been in the Honda fleet for more than 2 decades. It is an undersquare engine, which means it has a smaller 89mm bore compared to a slightly larger 93mm stroke. It does have an 11.5:1 compression ratio and direct fuel injection, and it will happily run on regular gasoline. This exact engine, same power outputs and everything, was in the last generation Honda Pilot, but it was replaced for the 2023 model year and 5th generation with a dual overhead cam 3.5 liter. The horsepower difference between the new Pilot and the old Pilot isn't significant. The main reason why Honda said they replaced the engine was it has much better emissions. And for me, that's strong evidence that this Honda Passport is gonna get a new generation awfully soon. Either way, it still operates smoothly and runs fine. It's just not as clean as Honda's latest stuff. The transmission that is connected to this engine has also been with the Passport since its 2019 debut. That is a 9-speed automatic transmission. It works fine. And I didn't say so in the Walkaround, but you do also have paddle shifters with it, downshift on the left, upshift on the right. And since the 2023 model year, all Honda Passports are all-wheel drive. Now, don't get me wrong, even though this is an older engine that's been in the Honda fleet for a while, that's not a bad thing. It still runs smoothly, has a nice linear buildup of power, and good amounts of power. If I floor the accelerator, after the kickdown, I get a good burst of acceleration. It's stout. I'm very happy with that. And that was in the normal driving mode with drive, not sport for the transmission. If I put it in sport, it immediately kicks down a gear, so I'm already innately in a higher gear. And if I floor the accelerator, yeah, I get stout acceleration right away. It still needed that moment to kick down. It doesn't kick down super fast, but because we were already in a lower gear, so higher revs, we had more pull right away. If I go the opposite way, I put it back in drive and I put the Econ mode on. First of all, I get a pretty darn different throttle map. You can feel that it's a lot slower to accelerate. You have to give a lot more throttle for it to even respond. And if I floor it, the kickdown's about the same, but it works really hard to keep you in as high a gear as possible to give you lower revs, which would improve fuel economy, but it's not good for response. Generally speaking, this is a perfectly reasonable, plenty stout powertrain, but you can feel the difference in refinement between this and the Honda Pilot, which does have that new dual overhead cam engine and a new transmission and everything. When it comes to fuel economy, the Passport is, it's only okay. You get 19 miles to the gallon in the city, 24 miles to the gallon on the highway, 21 combined. Certainly not bad, but also not amazing numbers either. On the plus side, this is a pretty stout thing and can actually tow 5,000 pounds. And that's across the lineup. Any Passport trim, 5,000 pound towing capacity. But while knowing figures like that may indeed be important, it's not nearly as much fun as accelerating. Of course I had to test that. Let me show you right now. All right, everybody, time for an acceleration test. I do have the Passport's transmission in sport. I have it in the normal driving mode and I have traction control off. Though with the all-wheel drive, I'm not expecting any wheel spin, just in case. All right, let's see what happens. All right, coming to a complete stop. Hard on the gas. Nice lurch back. Good clean revs, fast shifts to 6,000, 6,500 for the 2-3 shift. Yeah, good pickup, good acceleration. Wow, yeah. This is a motor that Honda has had for a while. It's single overhead cam, 3.5 liter V6, but it is still a stout, smooth operating and powerful V6 that was smooth, linear, good fast shifts. The 1-2 shift was a little early, but we got nice clean shifts right up to the red line. Otherwise, yeah, solid acceleration from the 2024 Honda Passport Black Edition. All right, let's dig into the chassis. It's a perfectly reasonable, solid feeling chassis, and it offers a smooth and comfortable ride. Now, you saw when I looked under the hood, there is a lot of weight way up front, so the steering response is a bit hesitant compared to other Hondas especially, but it's still not bad. It's still competent, and it is completely safe. It's just not as engaging as other Hondas, and indeed, even other Honda SUVs. That was actually something that quite impressed me, was how good the Pilot felt as a driving machine, even though it is a larger 3-row family-sized SUV. That becomes all the more noticeable when you drive something like this, which is just quite literally one generation behind that Honda. So even though the Pilot's bigger, it actually feels better to drive. But when it just comes to comfort and space, this Passport offers a lot. The seats are plenty comfortable, the ergonomics are fantastic, and all the controls and switchgear is well laid out. You also have tons and tons of space, and it's wide and useful and easy to use. So this offers advantages in terms of ergonomics and those types of things compared to even the Honda Pilot. But again, that word refinement comes up again, and that's true on roads like this or on the interstate. I did test it there as well. Let me show you that. All right, everybody, time for a quick stint on the interstate, and I do have the engine shram to myself, so a super quick handling test. It's all right. It is all right. About what I expected. Okay, getting up to interstate speeds, we'll set the cruise control to 78 miles an hour, or to go with the speed of traffic. At that engine speed, we're spinning just under 2,000 RPM from the 3.5 liter V6, and it is very much in the background. I do have all the driving aids on. This does have Honda sensing, of course, so I will go ahead and take my hands off the wheel. And we're drifting towards the left, but we are staying within the lane. So this is a less sophisticated lane centering. This is more of a keep you from leaving the lane as opposed to keeping you centered in the lane. So you can tell that this is not the latest tech, the most advanced cameras and everything else used on the Passport right now, but it functioned, it did its job just fine, and the rest of it is working just fine. In terms of lane departure warning, it'll definitely warn you, and you do get the screen telling you so. Here, I'll show you real quick. That's what you get. So, you know, it's functional, it's just not the most advanced version of this stuff, even in a Honda. More fundamentally speaking, the cabin is reasonably well isolated. You know, having this side acoustic glass does seem to be helping a little bit, but you can still hear a decent amount of wind noise passing through. To be fair to the Passport, it is a pretty windy day, but even then, you can still hear more road and wind noise than, well, certainly the Honda Pilot, which I reviewed a while ago, and that's on a new generation platform, and that is a noticeable improvement over this. But that said, it's solid, it's not bad, it's just not great. It's competitive. And this being the Black Edition, I have plenty of creature comforts, heated seats, heated steering wheel, ventilated seats, and, you know, plenty of space. That is definitely a distinct advantage of the Passport. You can seat 5, but you can seat 4 adults very comfortably and have plenty of room for their stuff as well. So that's a real strength of this Passport. So for a road trip with your adult friends, fantastic road trip car. So what do I think of this updated 2024 Honda Passport Black Edition? This is a great SUV for ergonomics and for space. It provides comfort for every passenger, even if you have 5 of them, and definitely if you have 4 or fewer. And its SUV cred isn't bad. Having 5,000 pounds worth of towing capacity gets you into a decent playing field of recreational equipment, boats, snowmobiles, jet skis, those types of things. But I said the word several times during this review, the refinement is noticeably less than other Honda SUVs. And the smoothness, while good, isn't quite there compared to the other Honda SUVs. And the efficiency isn't quite there either. It's not so old school that it's got old school charm. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like new-ish school. That weird middle ground where it does have a tiny touch of nostalgia of what things were like a few years ago, but not real nostalgia of what it was like in the quote-unquote good old days. So this is one of those weird things where it's a little too old school, but also definitely not old school enough. But again, the strengths it has are really strong. I do still quite like this engine. I think it does its job very, very well, and it feels stout throughout its rev range and delivers nice linear power, and it's still smooth. It's just not as smooth as the newest thing. And the space, but not only the space, the usability of the space, the ease of use of the space makes it a great, great choice. So I think this is a great SUV for a young couple that likes to go on a lot of adventures for the weekends, or maybe do a lot of big box store shopping, or someone of any age that has 3 adult friends that want to go on road trips and want to do it with plenty of space for their stuff and a lot of comfort as well. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you very much for watching. And if you like this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up. Doing so helps me out quite a lot, and I'd really appreciate it. Also, I do reviews like this all the time. Also, detailed walkarounds and auto show news and other car news. So if you have any interest in keeping up with the auto industry in general, please subscribe to my channel. That also helps me out a lot, and I'd also really appreciate that. Speaking of, I actually did just review something surprisingly similar to this, the 2024 Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport. Also updated for the 2024 model year, also pretty darn large, but only 2 rows, also lots of space and lots of comfort. So if this is the genre of SUV you're looking for, you should definitely check that out. Or maybe you're looking for something else entirely. Well, like I said, I have reviewed a lot of stuff by now. Something will pop up on the screen next to me. Hopefully that is something you're interested in, and if you do end up watching it, I definitely hope you like it. Okay, goodbye for now.